Hey kids, how about a project? So you've got a gun, and for whatever reason, whether you bought it this way or you neglected it and it got this way, it's rusty. And there's more rust on it than just brass brush or some steel wool is going to take off. So it's real rusty. All right. And let's just focus on primarily the barrel right now. So what we're going to do today is we are going to build a electrolysis. Let me rephrase that. An electrolytic rust remover tank to remove rust from a gun barrel. All right. So that's science. So here's what we're going to need to make this. You're going to need some 4-inch PVC. You're going to need some rebar. You're going to need some smaller PVC. This is 1/2 inch. You're going to need a 4-inch PVC end cap. You're going to need your PVC glue. You're going to need a drill and some drill bits. You're going to want some kind of a saw to cut your 4-inch PVC with. You're going to need some wire. Just a small section of it. You don't need a lot. I'm using a piece of Romex. We'll get to that when we get to it. And you're going to want your dad or your grandpa's old battery charger. Now you can't use one of those newfangled ones. Why can't I use the newfangled one? Well, the newfangled ones, they're smart chargers, and they won't work for you when you're running it. It'll say, I'm not connected to a battery. No batteries detected, blah. Anyway, so you need an older style battery charger. Now, you can actually get a new battery charger at Harbor Freight that is not a smart charger. And it's not all that expensive if you don't have a battery charger, an old battery charger. They do still make them. Now you're also going to need to buy some washing soda. And we'll get to that part once it's all built. You're also going to need, now you can do it with hand files if you don't have a grinder, but the way we're going to be making this one, the way I'm going to be making mine is by doing some grinding on the rebar. So you're going to want a grinding / cutting wheel. All right, so let's get started. Now what we've gone to the Home Depot and we've got our rebar. Now you can buy rebar in pretty long lengths and you can cut it. All right, we're going to be making our electrolytic rust remover 4 feet long. All right, and we're going to make it that long so that it doesn't matter how long of a barrel I need to remove rust from. It'll be long enough to submerge a barrel completely in it. All right, so what I went and got, and it's real affordable, is two 2-foot pieces of rebar. Two 2-foot pieces of rebar. Then you go into the plumbing section where the PVC is, and you'll find 2-foot sections of PVC. Get yourself some PVC that the rebar will fit into, not tight, but that it'll fit into, all right? So that what we end up with, all right, is a sleeve of PVC around our rebar. And I'll explain why we're doing that once we get to it. So I'm going to be connecting my two 2-foot pieces of rebar. So if you have access to a 4-foot length of rebar and a 4-foot length of PVC that will sleeve that rebar, go ahead and go with that. Perfect. All right, all right, now we're going to glue our end cap on, and I like to clean it up a little bit with some sandpaper, make it nice and smooth around the edge, and clean up the where the glue is going to go. Now a little primer. All right, we're primed. Now we'll let that dry. Then we'll put some glue on it and cap it off. All right, and now a little bit of glue. Put a little bit on the pipe and a little bit on the inside of the cap and put them together. All right, now we're going to move on to the rebar. What I'm going to do with the rebar is I'm going to grind both pieces just slightly flat here where they come together so that I can drill a hole through them. I'm going to drill a hole through them, and then I'm going to connect them with a piece of wire. The reason I'm doing that is A, to make a 4-foot section, but B, so that it's flexible, and I'll explain why in a minute. Like so. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my grinder and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to grind it flat. All right, I'm going to grind it flat like this. All right, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to run the grinding wheel right through the middle of it, just like this. And I'm going to make that. And with a little fandangling, once I get them to where they'll fit, right, where they'll fit, then I'm going to drill it out. All right. Now that I've got them drilled out, all right, I'm going to find a little bolt, little nut and bolt that'll go through there to connect them. It's going to maintain electrical continuity through the metal, but it's also going to be able to flex, and I'll tell you why. All right, now we're going to move on to the small PVC sleeves. All right, we're going to get our handy dandy Sharpie, and we are going to put a mark every 2 inches. Now that we've got it marked every 2 inches, we're going to take our drill. Get you a smaller drill bit that's easy to make an initial pilot hole. I'm using the ink that's printed on the piece of pipe just to make a straight line, and we'll get started there. All right, now we've got a hole drilled all the way through every 2 inches. We're going to take out a tape measure. We're going to mark every 2 inches again. We're going to turn this 1/4 of a turn, and we're going to offset this batch of holes so that our mark, so if we've got one here, right, and we've got one here, that's 2 inches. Now we're going to offset them in between those two, every 2 inches. All right, that makes sense. So you've got holes every 2 inches and holes every 2 inches. So it's like that. Now what we're going to do is go get a bigger drill bit. So just so you know, for the pilot hole, I used the 9/16 bit. Now I'm going to run a 1/2 inch bit through those holes. All right, now when you go to make your bigger hole, you've got to go real slow. You can go fast on your drill speed, but you got to go real slow, because if it catches, it'll split it and it'll ruin what we're trying to do here. I'm putting hardly any weight on the drill. I'm actually not even putting the drill's own weight on it, so that we don't bite into the PVC too much and snap it. All right? So what we're doing, we're going to clean this up, is we are perforating this pipe. All right? Going to show you a couple in real time so you get an idea of the force. We're hardly putting any force on it. We're just letting it slowly chew through the PVC. All right, I'm going to show you a real quick way how to clean these up. You're going to take your drill bit sideways, come on each one, just real quick. And this doesn't have to be pretty or perfect. It just has to be very churchy. I mean holy. I mean perforated. All right. So here's our second one, before and after. Now, why am I going through all this trouble? Well, I'll tell you. If I'm going to be putting a gun barrel connected to electricity in as narrow a channel as possible without having to make a tub or some bath, you don't want the two pieces of metal to touch in the liquid. So what we are doing is we are making a sheath, a shield for our anode. Anode, cathode, I'm not sure which one it is, all right? So we've got our rebar is gonna go through this, right? The electricity is gonna flow. Plenty of electrical current's gonna go through it, but the metal that is being derusted will never come in contact with the metal anode. Okay, I'll look it up. Which one is the anode? Which one is the cathode? Positive, negative. I know that's what it has to do with. All right, so that's what we're doing. So then this will go inside our chamber like this along the side, right? And then the barrel can go in right next to it. We don't have to have a big nasty bath. It'll be nice and efficient. You basically stand it up in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket. I'll probably put it in a bucket and either put dirt around it so it stands on its own, or maybe gravel. I mean, you could lean it in a corner as long as your battery charges is connected to your rebar and to the gun barrel. All right, so this is what we're doing. All right, so we're about done. The science terminology, right, for electrolytic rust removal or rust removal through electrolysis is the rebar is your anode. The anode will be connected to the positive electrode of your battery charger. The artifact to be cleaned or derusted is the negative terminal of your battery charger. And then you'll have an electrolyte, which is the washing soda. And we'll go through that here after a bit. So, why did I make a joint instead of just one long bar? I kind of explained it earlier. I just wanted to show you. So like this is one piece. It'll go down into my vessel, and ignore the nail as a hinge until I get a bolt. And the artifact that's going to be cleaned, the tool, the gun barrel, etc., whatever's rusty that you don't want rusty anymore, isn't going to touch your anode. All right, that's why we made this. So that the electrons can flow freely throughout the electrolyte bath, but it's protected and it's not gonna arc and pop your breaker. They're not gonna touch. All right, so by having it hinged, right, I'll be able to put this into a tub. If, say, I have a bigger part or tool that I want to get, that I want to clean the rust off of, I'll be able to pull my hinge pin, and then I will have 2 anodes that I could have inside of a tub. And then I would just connect these two to one wire, the positive end, in the bottom of a tub, the tub filled with the electrolyte, electrolyte, the fluid that's conductive, and then I can set whatever I need right on top of it. And it would be connected then to the negative terminals. All right. All right, so what I have left to do is on this end of the anode, the rebar, I'm going to take my grinding wheel and I'm going to flatten one side out on it. Just flat enough that I can use a punch and then drill a hole through it so that I can connect my wire to it. And then once I connect the wire to it, I'll be able to take it, right? Actually, I wanted to mention this too. What I'm going to do is, so that just a little bit of the anode, so that the anode is just inside there and always completely covered within the protective sleeve, I'm gonna make a plastic plug that will go crossways through this one hole that I didn't drill out large, so that it sits just on the inside of the protective sleeve. And now, by connecting the two sleeves with a zip tie, I'm able, and again, ignore the nails, they're just temporary. I've got to go to the store. And our anode would then go in. It'll sit right along inside the vessel, and there's plenty of room for, you know, any size gun barrel that you wanted to put in there. And what I'm going to do is on the side here, I'm gonna cut a couple notches so that I can lay a piece of PVC across the top here like this to zip tie the barrel hanging in the solution, completely submerged, free hanging. And then of course it would be connected by the wire sending electricity through it. All right, so I went to the hardware store and I got myself just a little screw that was the right diameter to go through to connect them. And then I marred the end of the thread so that that won't be able to come out easily. Now what I've done is I've threaded a zip tie through and around the rebar through one of the holes. Now this is just a nice easy way to secure the rebar inside our shield that is non-conductive, and I'm going to do the same up on the upper one. So just nice and tight, holding the rebar inside there. Same with the upper one. Connected the two with a zip tie. I've exposed the top of the anode and ground just a little bit of grinding here for a good place for the battery charger clamp to clamp onto. All right, so here the anode is inside our chamber. Come on, focus. Right, and what I've done is I've drilled just 2 holes up in the very top, and I'm going to run a zip tie through those around the anode so that it just stays put, right? So it stays put on the side right where we want it to stay. All right. All right, so now I've taken a Forstner bit, and I'm going to take the Forstner bit, which is this guy right here, and I'm going to drill a hole over here to run a piece of PVC through for hanging our artifact. All right, I've got my piece of PVC. Oops. Right there like that. I'll be able to hang my, whatever it is that I'm removing rust from. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and notched out these holes, but I made them a little bit smaller than the PVC so that it actually kind of snaps in when I put it in. Now what I've done is I've taken and I've drilled a hole all the way through the PVC. And I've taken this section of Romex wire, all right, and I pulled out the red wire. All right, I pulled out about 3 feet of it. All right. And I've stripped about 6 inches of it on this end. Okay, I ran it through the PVC. I've wrapped it around twice and I drilled one more hole. So I've got some stripped, some shielded, wrapped around, and then re-snaked through the PVC. Then I went ahead and I stripped another 6 inches off on the end. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it around this end here. All right, so I brought it out, wrapped it around, exposed wire. Now what we have is we can hang our, whatever it is we're derusting. In our case, this is a barrel, gun barrel deruster, so that the barrel's hanging inside from the cable, the wire. Our negative is connected here. Our positive is connected here, sending the electricity through the anode and the barrel inside the electrolytic fluid. All right, so I just reviewed my science, and what I should have pulled was a black wire out of the Romex, which I'll do later. I'm not going to do that today. So the negative connects to whatever it is you want to pull the rest off of. In this case, it'll be a gun barrel. It could be a tool, it can be whatever you want. And your positive goes on your anode. All right? So just as an example, here is a rusty tool that I wish to take rust off of using electrolysis. I've attached it here to our negative. We're going to put it in the bath. There, it's in the fluid, right? We're going to snap it into place. We're going to attach our negative here, our positive to the anode, and we're going to turn on our battery charger. We're going to turn it on conventional low maintenance, and we're going to put it at low 2 amp trickle charge for starts. All right, and that's how we would remove the rust from this rusty tool. And there we have it, an electrolytic rust remover for gun barrels. All right, so I've measured the volume, and to fill it to here, it's 2.5 gallons. So the mixture of distilled water, so we've got here our distilled water to washing soda will be 3 tablespoons. And there you have it. Now we have current running through the item, through the electrolysis bath. And we will come back and check it here in just a little bit. And we should see bubbles starting to form, which is the electrolysis occurring. That's it for this video. Like and subscribe. I'll be putting together another video with more in depth on the actual use of the electrolysis, the long electrolysis bath for rust removal from long items, i.e. a gun barrel. Anyway, love ya. Thanks.